Women who are so particular and opinionated and spiky that you no longer can project. Why is everyone still mad? I've already apologized. I've used the age excuse. I've said I'm just a girl. You're uncomfortably too human in a theater kids feel type way. Okay. What? In the theater kid was that? We don't hate to see you win. That's kind of self-absorbed and narcissistic. I think people would love Rachel if she had stayed hot and unknowable. I think you're going to need more than just hope. I think you better prep. Listen, I'm not trying to absolve myself from the dumb things I've said online. They're still dumb. But I was just a baby. I don't know, but I just have never expected action. It started with whispers, and within 48 hours it exploded into a cultural firestorm. Rachel Zegler's Evita already on thin ice after walkouts, refund demands, and accusations of performative politics is now facing something far more serious. I think that in the future, when we reflect on what happened, it is going to come to be known as the girl bosses who flew too close to the sun. Okay, people say that. This is an example of that. Girl boss. Girl boss. I'm a girl boss. I can do whatever I want. Men ain't bleep. Men are terrible. Whatever. We can do whatever we want in this era. A petition calling for the entire production to be shut down has just crossed 100,000 signatures. That's not a typo. 100,000 people in just over a day have signed a document saying they've had enough. That the show is an insult, a distortion, a disaster that disrespects everything Evita was meant to represent. The narcissist is going to remain a one-person wrecking crew. Please protect yourself, as their rage and their manipulation can literally make you sick, both mentally and physically, and not calling them out is not enabling. Well, a lot of people say if I don't call them out, then I'm part of the problem. They're already enabled, and you calling them out in a strange way enables them more. And what's worse, it's not just trolls or haters signing it. Verified theater critics and even fans of Zegler herself are saying the same thing. This show crossed a line. And if you've ever seen Evita, it is a challenging part to play. And I don't think she has the temerity, the stamina, you pick a word, here, in order to pull it off going. Every single day that the theater is open, the petition itself reads like a manifesto accusing the West End adaptation of erasing historical nuance, pushing modern ideology into a sacred legacy, and casting a lead who doesn't understand the role she's in. It's brutal, and yet it's resonating. Literally no idea why he's covered in cake frosting goop slime at the end of the show. What I do love, though, is everybody trying to figure out why it's happening and what the context is. And look, I haven't seen the show. I don't know why it's happening, but the theories are incredible. Some people saying the blue and white represents the Argentinian flag. That's yes, but why is it goopy? I don't know. If you are at the first preview of Evita, or any of Evita, if you know anything about Evita and why he's covered in stuff, let us know. Social media is already calling this the most embarrassing flop in recent musical history, and not because of ticket sales alone. This goes deeper. Audiences are accusing the show of being a woke rebranding project disguised as art. You didn't modernize her story. One TikTok rant says, you buried it under ego and politics. And with every hour, the backlash keeps growing. So there's a lot of discourse right now about how Jamie Lloyd's production of Evita, starring Rachel Zegler, looks a lot like his production of Sunset Boulevard. And people are like, oh, is he just doing the same thing again? I saw a video just now from the creator Matt Seiler, which I totally agree with, and I'll link it in the caption, where he's talking about how I don't. It doesn't bother me when an artist's work looks like their other work that's just called having an artistic voice. And I would take that even further and say that it's important to have some context about the style that Jamie Lloyd is working in. I would characterize Jamie Lloyd's work as following in the tradition of European Regie Theater. And if you don't know Regie Theater, it's a German word that originated in opera that literally means director's theater. So describing the practice of, directors having an immense amount of creative control over the production. And just 10 days ago, this production was being positioned as Zegler's grand comeback, a chance to move past the snow-white chaos and show the world that she was still a star. But now critics are using words like career killer, like I'm a very mentally ill piece of, oh boy, this might explain some of the comments she's been making lately. Fans are demanding apologies, and industry insiders are already whispering that the producers are in crisis mode, watching as their million-pound gamble turns into a viral catastrophe. But this was only the beginning, because as the signatures keep climbing, a deeper controversy is now starting to rise from the shadows. And it's not just about theater anymore. Music. One thing I'll say, music. The warning signs were there from day one. Opening night was supposed to be a celebration. Red carpet photos, standing ovations, rave reviews. But what actually happened was chaos. Within the first 20 minutes of the show, something strange started to happen. Rachel's Zegler. Her stock is through the roof after this movie. I can't believe it. I very much had no interest in seeing Rachel's Zegler in any movies heading into this. And watching this made me forget that I really don't like her as an actress. All is forgiven with the Snow White controversy. Maybe I'm going to show up for it. I thought she was fantastic. She was really funny. Audience members began trickling out. A few at first, then more. By the end of the second act, entire rows were empty. Some attendees reportedly demanded refunds right there at the box office. Others took to TikTok and X, filming themselves storming out of the theater with captions like, "This is not Evita. This is a bad joke. He works here and he's helping me. I love him. I love him so much." Applause. Quinn. The most viral clip, a young couple whispering, "Is this satire?" as Rachel Zegler belted out one of Eva Perón's most iconic lines, rewritten allegedly to include updated feminist buzzwords that weren't in the original. That clip alone racked up over 6 million views in 24 hours. But it wasn't just the rewrites. Multiple reports claimed that the applause at the end wasn't even real.